I'm just quite interested by your defense of American values. Do you not think there's like an extent of arrogance about your suggestion, like that America has so much better values than the rest of the world? Like, you've listed lots of like ways they're better. You yourself acknowledge that it's generosity that allows immigrants to come to America. What right do you think you necessarily have to tell other cultures that your supposed values that allow like Hillary to be like essentially like her whole campaign devalued on account of her being a woman? Like, you can say what you want that they didn't happen, the hate crimes, but people are huge amounts of like racism in your police force, in your like systematically across the country. Do you really think these are like better values than the rest of the world, that you can't learn anything from immigrants?
No, I don't think, yes, we can learn some things from immigrants, but the question, as I understand it, is why do you want to spread your values to the rest of the world? Look, that's fine. That's fine, okay? If they don't want them, I'm really fine. I was America first before Trump was America first. I really just want to take care of our own country. But we are bringing in values that are demonstrably at odds and with a majority of Americans: the treatment of women and children, the honor killings, the clitorectomies, the ripping off of government programs. I mean, we're dealing with crimes that our police force, we have no immunity to it. We're not used to this kind of thing. It's manifestly obvious that certain different ethnic groups excel and different cultures excel at different kinds of crimes. We're used to, for one thing, we're used to criminals being dumb, which has been a great advantage. You know, they kill their spouses for $10,000 of insurance money and leave their DNA all over the place. No, now we're getting criminals who have high IQs. They come from cultures where it's not embarrassing to be a criminal. It's great. It's cool. You ripped off the government. I mean, our government programs are like a Disneyland for immigrants. One of the things the Iraqi and the Mexican woman who honor killed their daughter for dating a black kid, one of the things he was on the tape saying was, oh, I love America. It's so great. I can game all these welfare programs. I mean, that goes into the idea of a country being a family and caring about one another. It's one thing when we are paying in enormous taxes in order to take care of, you know, somebody else's kid who's born without a liver or born with spina bifida. Okay, you know, this is what we're agreeing to. We're all Americans. We're in this together. But when we're bringing in immigrants not only with very different values, but who need liver transplants, and they're taking the liver transplants that was kind of for our own people. You take care of your people, we take care of our people. And I'd also say, since this is the last question, just let me expand and say one more thing. I mean, the left loves to talk about diversity. I mean, I think I'm the person who truly loves diversity. I want to go to England. No, you want us to be all one blend and look the same and there's no difference anyplace. I want to come to England and meet people named, you know, Nigel and Simon and Oliver, and, you know, I want to hear your prissy little accents, and I want to go to Germany, and I want the streets to be really clean and the trains to run on time, and go to the Netherlands, and I can see their clogs and their tulips, and they have their own little weird, you know, the stuff we eat. I just think cultures should be preserved, and it's easier to preserve cultures if they stay in their own countries. That's the true diversity.
So yeah, unfortunately that's all we've got time for this evening. But if you could all join me in saying thank you to Anne for joining us this evening.
Attacks on me, get together and coordinate, because it was either that I was the ugliest thing that ever lived or I was only on TV because I was pretty. I definitely prefer the latter. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you take what I don't think I'm that good looking, but you take whatever advantages you have. What I am is a writer. My biggest advantage is that I'm an agoraphobe, so I like to stay home and read.
So what is it what do you think is the secret behind your success then, both kind of in the political world and as an author?
I think it's blind hatred. Just, it gets me up in the morning. I can stay up all night researching. They had just about won the debate on Joe McCarthy, but I will stay up all night too. No, I like to research and write. I mean, I will tell you, because you're young people, and this is actually, I think, useful advice for you. Well, for one thing, don't go to law school. But for another thing, I think it's very useful to get batted around a bit when you first graduate. There's so many jobs out there, you don't even know they exist. And what I do, I love, and I would do free, don't tell my publisher. But people used to ask me if I preferred the writing the books or the researching, or sorry, the research and writing or the publicizing the books, because it's fun to go on TV, it's fun to be interviewed too. But I realized, I think it was when I wrote Demonic, I was so happy. I was so happy. I was having so much fun researching it. And I like not having a job. I like not having to wake up to an alarm clock, and I could just keep reading until late at night and run things down. And I like to do my own original research. I don't believe secondhand sources. As you'll know if you read Demonic, I went back to get, which wasn't easy, the actual trial of Marie Antoinette, because the secondary sources from, allegedly impressive historians there were slight discrepancies, particularly about her son being able to testify, and I didn't think he could talk. But anyway, I ordered the transcript, and it was really fun. I mean, I feel like a detective. And I put a lot of work into them. So anyway, that's a long way of saying I get more prolix when I haven't had a cigarette. I'll try to speed it up. There are a lot. Do what you love and you'll be good at it. Don't just go into something because this is what you always thought you were going to do. Just keep, because I did go to law school. What a waste of time that was.
So we actually had Roger Stone visit us a few weeks ago now, and we discussed the possibility of a Michelle Obama candidacy at the next presidential election. How do you feel about that?
I'd be surprised if she's interested. My bet right now is Kamala Harris. If she runs, I say it's Kamala, because the Democratic Party, I mean, I alluded to this very briefly in my speech, the Democratic Party really did become a lifestyle party in the 90s. They used to be the party, I mean, probably the old Bernie Sanders could have been a Democrat rather than a socialist. The Democratic Party was allegedly about the working class. And man, it must have pained them to have to pretend to care about people who live in Indiana, because the Democrats do not give a crap about the people between Los Angeles and New York. Don't give a crap about them. And when Clinton came along, he brought the two sides together, basically, the very, very poor welfare recipients, immigrants, and Wall Street and Hollywood. And now it's fantastic because, Wall Street, their politics align with their social interests. They were always for, drugs and rock and roll. And now, Clinton and Chuck Schumer and Hillary Clinton, don't worry, we're going to take care of Wall Street too. So that, leaves the entire middle part of the country, it's a new world. It's the weirdest thing. When Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump were the closest the two candidates were. Any two other candidates. Bernie Sanders used to be for gun rights.
Okay, so I think it would be fair to say that you faced a fair amount of criticism throughout your career. How do you deal with the criticism? Do you take it personally?
I love it. I like the cleverer attacks better, and that's why I genuinely do like speaking on college campuses. I wrote about this at the beginning of one of my books. I think if liberals had any brains, they'd be Republicans. I wrote about my college speeches, and it was quite noticeable to me. I probably have given more college speeches than anyone else. And And at the better colleges, I could tell how bad the protests were going to be and how bad the questions would be and whether the questions would be interesting questions like your questions are, or if it would just be, you know, kids standing up, stamping their feet and calling me a fascist. And it was basically, you could determine it by the SAT scores. And I hate to say this because I hate Harvard, but Harvard and Yale, they were fantastic. They were really fun. They're clever questions. They're interesting. And it's fun.
Okay. So you don't mind taking on that kind
and
of...
And as for the vicious ones, and just, you know, the stamping your feet and saying I'm ugly.